Here are the top stories at this hour. More than 1,500 of Palestinian gunmen found in Israel. 30 persons killed in broken dam flood in Cameroon. Plus, 29 persons killed in artillery strike in refugee camp, Myanmar. Welcome to the World News on VOP TV. I'm Kayla Abraham. An Israeli army official has stated that the army has found some 1,500 bodies of Palestinian gunmen in the settlement around Gaza on Tuesday. He, however, didn't provide further details on the issue. However, the Palestinian side, especially the Hamas group, is yet to comment on the Israeli army's claim. Over the past 3 days, the Hamas armed wing Al-Qassam Brigade released several videos of its fighters breaking into Israeli military sites around Gaza, which also showed Israeli soldiers being killed and arrested. The Palestinian Hamas group launched Operation Al-Aqsa Flood against Israel early on Saturday, firing a barrage of rockets and infiltrating Israel by land, and sea. It stated that the surprise attack was in response to the storming of Al-Aqsa Mosque in occupied East Jerusalem and increased settler violence against Palestinians. In retaliation, the Israeli military launched Operation Swords of Iron against Hamas in the Gaza Strip. The number of Palestinians killed by Israeli forces in Gaza has risen to 704, including 143 children and 105 women. It also stated that the number of wounded has risen to around 4,000. According to the Israeli Health Ministry, no fewer than 900 Israelis have been killed and over 2,600 others are wounded in the fighting. Meanwhile, North Korea has accused Israel of escalating the conflict with the Palestinian group Hamas and stated its consequences of Israel's ceaseless criminal actions against the people of Palestine on Tuesday. You will recall the Gaza-based resistance group Hamas early on Saturday launched Operation Al-Aqsa Flood against Israel, firing a barrage of rockets. It also disclosed the surprise attack was in response to incursion into the Al-Aqsa Mosque in occupied East Jerusalem and growing settler violence in retaliation. In retaliation, the Israeli army launched Operation Swords of Iron against Hamas in the Gaza Strip. However, the Gaza-based health ministry stated early on Tuesday that the number of Palestinians killed by Israeli forces in Gaza rose to 704, including 143 children and 105 women, while the Interior Ministry in Gaza mentioned that the Israeli army intensified its aggression in Gaza with hundreds of raids. The Israeli army noted that it had struck over 500 targets in overnight raids in Gaza, which they claimed were targets belonging to Hamas and Islamic Jihad, another Palestinian resistance group. Still, the State Department mentioned in a statement early on Tuesday that the U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken has discussed U.S. support for Israel in a call with Israeli Foreign Minister Eli Cohen. The statement added that Blinken reaffirmed efforts to secure the immediate release of all hostages. The department also disclosed in a separate statement that Blinken also spoke with French Foreign Minister Catherine Colonna, reiterating their condemnation of Hamas's attacks on Israel. Meanwhile, Tanzania's embassy in Israel is trying to trace the whereabouts of 2 Tanzanian students reported to be missing in the region of Israel, which was hit by the Hamas attack at the weekend. Ambassador Alex Kalua disclosed to the reporters that his mission has been in contact with approximately 350 Tanzanians around the country, most of which are students. According to the Tanzania embassy in Israel, there are around 350 Tanzanians living in Israel, including around 260 students pursuing agricultural programs. Now, authorities have disclosed on Monday that a wave of water released by a burst dam killed at least 30 persons in Cameroon's capital, Yaoundé, following heavy rains, with the death toll expected to rise. The local leader, Asola Joseph, stated that a colonial-era dam gave way at around 4 p.m. on Sunday, unleashing water from a small lake down the steep hillside of the Mbakolo neighborhood. The deluge swept away a large chunk of hillside, destroying homes and burying the area in debris and mud. Residents and rescue workers on Monday picked through the mess of rubble, broken timber, uprooted banana trees, and corrugated metal. He also added that 30 persons died and more than 20 had been injured. Among the dead were children attending a birthday party. Journalists at the scene saw 5 bodies being carried away and some 30 destroyed houses. Among the personal belongings buried in mud were a walking stick, a wedding photo, school textbooks, and toys. Visiting the site, Territorial Administration Minister Paula Tanganji stated that the buildings in the area had been constructed in a high-risk zone and warned the death toll would likely rise. According to United Nations climate experts, poverty and poor infrastructures make communities such as Mbakolo more vulnerable to extreme weather such as heavy rain, which is becoming more frequent and intense in Africa due to climate change. Now, more than 29 persons, including women and children, have been killed in an artillery strike on a refugee camp in Myanmar. The camp in Kachin State was struck close to midnight on Monday, 3 miles from a base in the town of Laiza, which borders China. The town is being run by the Kachin Independence Army KIA, which has been in conflict with Myanmar's military junta for years. Kunja, an activist with the Kachin Peace Network Civil Society, stated that she had visited the local hospital and was told 29 people were dead and 59 injured. The Shadow National Unity Government, NUG, also blamed Myanmar's military junta for the attack. It also condemned it as a vicious attack on civilians and urged the world to take action to halt the atrocities and put Myanmar's generals on trial. Now, the U.S. police has stated that they shot a driver whose car crashed into the Chinese consulate in San Francisco on Monday. Unverified footage on social media showed a vehicle inside the building with officers pointing their weapons at the driver's door as people fled downstairs and into the open. A spokesperson for the San Francisco Police Department mentioned that the vehicle had crashed into the visa office of the consulate in the middle of the afternoon, but officers were unable to say whether it had been a deliberate act. The spokesperson disclosed that officers, paramedics, and medics had tried to save the suspect's life, but that the person was pronounced dead at the hospital sometime later. The spokesperson gave no details about the suspect's identity. San Francisco is home to a large number of ethnic Chinese residents, including many from Taiwan, a self-ruled island that Beijing considers a renegade province and has vowed to one-day control. Now, recent rainfall in Thailand has led to flooding in 34 districts across several northern and northeastern provinces. The Office of National Water Resources, ONWR, noted on Tuesday that these include Sukhothai, Pinsunalok, and Nongbua Lampu. Around 16,500 families in 631 villages are affected. The ONWR stated that the situation is either stable or improving. The floods also affected farmland in 19 provinces, including Chairai, Lopburi, Ayutthaya, and Ubon Ratchathani. The ONWR also noted that the situation in many parts of the country will continue to be under watch as more rain is expected to hit Thailand due to the influence of a depression near the southern China coast. The ONWR disclosed further that Thailand currently has about 57,512 billion meters of water in reservoir nationwide, which is about 70% of all combined capacity of the reservoirs. Now, according to Kiev's Air Force, Russia has launched 36 drone attacks overnight on Ukraine in Moscow's latest air raid targeting the country. Ukraine's Air Force disclosed in a statement on Tuesday that its defense systems had destroyed 27 of the drones. The Air Force stated later on Telegram that the attacks using Iran-made Sahel drones targeted the Odessa, Mykolaiv, and Kherson regions of Ukraine. It added that Moscow launched a total of 36 Iranian-made drones from the Russian-annexed Crimean Peninsula. The Air Force did not say which targets, if any, the 9 other drones may have hit. The governor of Mykolaiv, Vitlay Kim, stated in Telegram that one of the drones had been destroyed over his region. There was no immediate comment from Russia. Now, Uzbekistan Silk Aviation Airlines will launch flights from Uzbekistan's Samarkand to Kazakhstan, Turkestan. The first charter flight on the Samarkand-Turkestan-Samarkand route will be performed in October 14, 2023. In the future, the airline plans to transfer the flight between Samarkand and Turkestan to the status of regular flight. Moreover, the airline is considering the introduction of flights to Turkestan from Uzbekistan's Fergana. Silk Aviation is an Uzbek airline that started operating flights in April 25, 2023. The airline's fleet currently consists of 3 turboprop medium-haul ATR 72600 aircraft. In August 2023, the carrier launched its first international flight to the Kyrgyz resort of Isaac Kul. Meanwhile, the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Tajikistan, Sirojin Muridin, and Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs of Iran, Mahdi Safari, held a meeting within the framework of the 27th meeting of Council of Ministers of Foreign Affairs of the Economic Cooperation Organization in Baku on October 9. The sides discussed current issues of bilateral and multilateral relations between Tajikistan and Iran in the political, trade, economic, industrial, energy, cultural, tourism, and other spheres. The Foreign Ministry of Tajikistan reported that the parties also exchanged views on other issues of the regional and international agenda. Now, recounting her achievements since being first elected in 2016, Taiwan's President Tsai Ing-wen on Tuesday disclosed that peace was the only option for cross-Taiwan Strait relations. The presidential election in the island nation, home to around 24 million people, is set to be held in January. The island nation, which sits across the Taiwan Strait, has been run independently since 1949, while China considers it as its breakaway province and has insisted on reunifying it with the mainland. Tsai, however, stated that Taiwan at this moment has become a Taiwan of the world. The international community stated that Tsai has come to realize that peace and stability in the Taiwan Strait is an indispensable component of global security and prosperity. Meanwhile, the Philippines has rejected China's claim that it drove away an intruding Philippine gunboat near a disputed reef in the South China Sea, calling it Beijing's propaganda. Earlier on Tuesday, the Chinese Coast Guard stated a Philippine Navy gunboat came into China's jurisdictional waters near the Scarborough Shoal in the Spratly Islands. Gun stated that China's Coast Guard ships took necessary measures such as tracking and controlling the ship's route to drive away the Philippine vessel according to the law. Responding to the statement, the Chief of Staff of the Armed Forces of the Philippines, AFP, General Romeo Bronner Jr., denied such an incident had taken place. General Bronner told journalists, an affiliate of Radio Free Asia, that his office also received the report, which is not true. Both Beijing and Manila claim sovereignty over Scarborough Shoal, which China seized after a standoff with the Philippines in 2012 and has maintained control over since. Now, a Nigerian court on Monday has sentenced to death a police officer convicted of shooting dead a pregnant female lawyer on Christmas Day in 2022, likely igniting debate on the place of the death penalty in Africa's most populous country. According to Amnesty International, Nigeria has at least 3,000 people on death row, but executions are rare, which has led to calls by some rights groups to abolish the death sentence. The Lagos State High Court had in January put on murder trial police officer Drambi Vandi, who was accused of shooting Bolanle Rahim, who was pregnant with twins at close range. Vandi denied the charge and had argued that the that the bullet that was presented in court as evidence was not from his gun. Vandi can appeal the sentence, and the Lagos state governor must sign off on the death sentence. Rights groups have for years accused Nigerian police and other law enforcement agencies of murders, extortion, torture, and harassment, which authorities deny. 3 years ago, demonstrators stated that police and soldiers opened fire during a protest police brutality, though both sets of security forces denied firing live rounds. Now, a Kenyan High Court has blocked the government's plans to deploy police officers to Haiti or any other country pending the hearing of a petition. The judge cited issues raised in the application as being of national importance and public interest. One of the petitioners, former presidential candidate Ekuru Alkat, stated that the proposed deployment was unconstitutional. It is argued that there is a question mark over whether regular police can be deployed on international assignment. Akut added that the country could not afford to spare 1,000 officers before addressing insecurity at home. Last week, ethnic clashes in western Kenya left 7 persons dead, and recently the coastal region of Lamu has seen attacks from the Somalia-based Al-Shabaab militant group. The area is now under curfew. Speaking on Sunday, the Interior Minister stressed that the deployment would not compromise the safety and security of the country, adding that the court will issue further directions at the end of October. In the same vein, Kenyan authorities have arrested 2 police officers who were found trafficking 13 people from Ethiopia using a police vehicle. According to reporters, the officers were transporting 8 Ethiopians, 4 Eritreans, and a Sudanese national in a vehicle belonging to Kenyan's border police unit. The officers, who were armed with police-issued firearms, were intercepted in Kenya's northwestern county of Turkana, which borders Ethiopia. Authorities disclosed that they also detained the foreigners, who will likely be arraigned in a Kenyan court or repatriated to their countries. The foreigners stated that they were transiting through Kenya on their way to South Africa. Now, telecoms in Libya's second-largest city, Benghazi, have been cut since Friday, with authorities blaming a broken cable, with the UN Libya mission saying it comes amid armed clashes between the main military force and a smaller group. Benghazi is controlled by Khalifa Haftar's Libyan National Army, LNA, the military coalition that controls eastern Libya and has shown little tolerance for internal opponents. The UN Libya mission revealed in a social media post on Monday that it was concerned by the clashes and the disruption to communications. Libyan media reported that the LNA was clashing with an armed group affiliated with Mahdi al-Baghdadi, who once led a brigade fighting alongside Haftar's forces before joining a Tripoli government that Haftar did not recognize. The LNA did not immediately issue a statement, and Benghazi residents could not be reached by reporters who come in to meet the communications blackout. Mohamed Bedri, a spokesperson for Libya's state telecommunications company in Tripoli, stated that the communications blackout was due to cuts in the fiber optic cable and would take time for maintenance teams working on it to repair. Tripoli-based Prime Minister Abdulhamid Abdul-Jabbar disclosed on Monday that Benghazi was witnessing an exceptional event, stating that there were an armed confrontation in civilian districts and what he called the deliberate cutting off of communications. Now, Iran and Sudan have agreed on Monday to restore diplomatic relations, both stated in a joint statement, serving years after they were severed and 3 months after a meeting between their foreign ministers. Sudan, currently in the midst of devastating war, cut diplomatic ties with Iran in 2016 following the storming of Saudi Arabian embassy in Tehran. Saudi Arabia and Iran agreed to resume ties in March under a deal negotiated by China, raising expectations that Tehran and other Arab countries would fully re-establish diplomatic relations. The Sudanese Foreign Minister James Morgan Pitia revealed that the decision came after a number of high-level communications between the two countries and will serve their mutual interest. Now, the U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken has spoken to ousted Nigerian President Mohamed Bazoum to reiterate his support for a democratically elected government. U.S. State Department spokesperson Matthew Miller disclosed in a statement on Monday, reiterated that a democratically elected civilian-led government presents the best opportunity to ensure that Niger remains a strong partner in security and development in the region. Bazoum was deposed in a military coup on 26 July, and he and his family have since been detained. Miller stated that the U.S. called for the immediate release of those unjustly detained following the military takeover. The junta, led by General Abdurrahman Tchiani, has set up a transitional government and earlier announced a 3-year transition period that was rejected by the regional group ECOWAS. ECOWAS has been trying to negotiate with the coup leaders and had warned that it was ready to send troops if diplomacy failed. Less than a 2-hour drive from where families sleep in tents and earthquake rubble remains in piles, the world's most powerful financial institutions are gathering for a week of discussions on economic challenges during times of war, inequality, and climate change. The International Monetary Fund and World Bank decided in 2018 to host their annual meeting in Marrakech, Morocco, bringing their effort to the African continent for the first time in 50 years. The original timeline was delayed by the pandemic, but the meeting beginning Monday arrives at an apropos time. After a devastating earthquake last month killed nearly 3,000 and wrecked $11.7 billion in damages, both officials and civil society groups are eagerly anticipating discussions about how to promote economic resiliency in light of natural disaster. Now, the South African currency rand has weakened on Monday as violence in the Middle East stoked risk aversion in global markets, while traders awaited release of the national census. Now, the South African currency rand has weakened on Monday as violence in the Middle East stoked risk aversion in global markets, while traders awaited release of the national census due this week. In the late hours of Monday, the rand traded against the dollar more than 0.6% weaker than its Friday close. The US dollar strengthened against a basket of global currencies as clashes escalated between Israeli forces and Palestinian militant group Hamas, sending investors scurrying towards the safety of the greenback. And that's it on the World News and VOP TV. I'm Kayla Abraham. A VOP Business Show is coming up next.